Make that big boss less special. It ain't no game, but they saying welcome to the second level. Second level gaming. Second level.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the official Level 2 podcast. My name's Keegan. I'm one half of Level 2 Gamers. If I could speak, I'm one half of Level 2 Gamers. Hanging out with my buddy Tom, the other half. How you doing today, Tom?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm pretty good. We're changing up a little bit of what we're doing today. Quick kind of disclaimer, then we'll get into what we normally do. Bargain Basement is now gone. We've decided it wasn't doing didn't have the impression we thought it would. So we decided to change some things up again.
I really enjoyed doing it because I know that I would like to watch it, but apparently not many other people did.
And VR's been doing well for us.
Yeah,
so
VR has been killing it for us. So kind of the decision that we came to was let's focus a little more on VR, which is what people seem to want. So we're going to give it to you. And
some of the Bargain Basement elements are moving into the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to have the sort of the better bits of Bargain Basement, I guess, are going to fall into the podcast. We're not necessarily going to discuss every sale on every game, but we will talk about some of the spotlights and things like that.
Kind of stuff.
So,
So,
changes aboard.
Yeah. Well, one thing doesn't change. What have you been up to this week? As we always start.
So, I wrecked my head.
You did
pretty badly.
You told me you were really good at this job, and I've come to find out you are horrible at this job.
I could put together like Italian furniture, French furniture from
Swedish
all around
furniture,
the world.
though?
Swedish
Fuck
furniture.
that.
I cannot do. IKEA furniture is the worst. So just because, and I discussed this with you earlier, but I really hate the fact that for IKEA they never put words on their instructions. It's always just some random little dude being like, yeah, do this, don't do that. And like they don't even tell you like turn to page 5. It's like a picture of a book with a page flipped and the number 5 in it. And you're just like, come on, man. Like,
it's called comprehension.
Yeah, so I don't have any of that.
Context
and basically we were building a wardrobe, which
for those of you who don't know, that's like a Chester drawers dresser thing.
Yeah, it's where you put clothes.
Yes.
So basically, my wife wanted to get a new one. We went to IKEA. We bought it. It was a billion different pieces. It wasn't like a one thing flat packed. It was like you had to buy 11
You sent me a
of this,
picture
4
of
of
you sent
that,
me a
6
picture of
that.
like your cart. That I think you had
2 carts.
Yeah,
two carts full of shit.
Just stuff.
Yeah, and then we had to figure out how to put it together, which was a nightmare. And during that process,
you took a knock on the head.
I was trying to put a shelf on the top.
And you're short.
And I'm short, obviously. And I knocked one of the things it was balancing on, and it just came down and like sliced my head. I have a Band-Aid there. You can see that maybe. Of where it just like sliced my head. And there was a lot of blood, mild concussion perhaps. But that's what I did this week.
You got attacked by a raptor. Use that story.
Yeah, I'm going to have to think of a better story to tell on him at bars. But I got attacked by a shelf.
Well, that's fun.
What did you do?
What I do? I did a couple things. First things first, let's talk about what we're wearing right now. Some of our new merch. So, Tom, you actually wanted this one based on. You want to tell them what it's based on?
I've decided these are a thing now.
I know the deuces.
The deuces because it's level 2. And someone told me that, and I was like, "That's actually
that was
works.
me actually in a
was it you that
video.
said that?
Yeah,
Awesome.
I said because I do it all the time because I think level 2, but I'm not sure.
I like it. It's a good idea. We're doing that as a thing. You see us around town,
just deuces.
Saw them up. Yeah, so I really like the whole Run DMC design thing. They used to have one that said like Run STL, which I thought was cool. And I kind of thought, what's the most simplistic design I could think of? It's a little parody of something. It's really easy to make that would look dope on a shirt.
And then Wheezy made it.
Wheezy made it, yeah. Our animator Wheezy is also our merchandise guy, and he's
enjoying that, I think.
Oh, he's loving it. So yeah, this is the L2G STL, like,
and you can get that also on in a phone case.
Yeah,
we're just pimping out our shit right now.
Why not, man?
Phone case. I got this guy right here that Wheezy made. He made this one. I wished it was stacked. We might do one that's stacked as well.
Okay.
But the heart L2G. I'm a fan of that.
Zelda heart.
There's also another one that doesn't have the background. It's just the text. I've got that on a black T-shirt.
PNG.
There's lots of new designs up there. So if you guys want to go check it out, shop.spreadshirt.com/level2gamersstl. That's shop.spreadshirt.com/level2gamersstl. It's also down in the description down below. But I just wanted to pimp that out because that's something we've been working on for a little bit, and we finally got them.
Thought it was time to say that and we're still working on it, by the way. Like every time we do a design, we throw it up, so it's going to be a pretty continual thing.
Yeah,
don't think that it's like, oh, that's what you're going to get for a couple months.
I have a couple cool ideas that I don't want to say, but there's a few that I'm excited.
Even my wife wants to get in on the action. She's like, she still wants some sprites and stuff to play with and do something stupid.
That'd be a lot of fun.
So we'll see.
But what I've been doing is I've been playing a lot and a lot of VR recently. I've been jumping back into VR, just different things that I've missed. I got Tethered. I've yet to play that, but I downloaded that the other day.
It's on sale, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
I got Static. I've got Werewolves is still number one for me.
You still play that a lot?
I play it in like long sessions, so I'll play it like there's nights where I'll be like, okay, I know I'm gonna play this for 3 or 4 hours and just do that.
Do you get sunk in really easy time wise?
Yeah, you don't realize how much time has passed. That's one thing I still wish VR had a button that shows you like a clock. I mean, you can hit the menu button. The problem with Werewolves though is you're in game chat, so if you hit that, you go out of the chat for half a second. I mean, it's half a second, but if somebody's talking shit on you, you don't hear it.
Can't let half a second of shit talking.
Can't let that happen.
But
right. I've been doing a lot of VR, having a lot of fun with it, watching videos and movies in VR, just because I want to immerse myself more into it. I feel like we've talked about it before, but when it first came out, I was that first weekend, I was like gung ho, ready to go.
You overdosed.
Yeah, and then I was like, okay, take a step back. I've played a lot more different types of games than I normally would, and then jumping back in has been a lot of fun. The only weird thing I think right now is I feel like I almost lost my VR legs. It's like motion sickness is a
that
thing
can happen. That's a
ones.
real thing. Yeah, I was discussing this with someone the other day. They very really can disappear, and you have to just build them up again.
And like Werewolves is easy because you're sitting there, you're just looking around talking. It's not that hard of a game. But when I was doing Dirt Rally, and James DeGrotto said he had similar issue with it, where it just like that game just will get you a little woozy because of what it is.
Yeah,
the speed.
In certain instances, yeah, you definitely feel the G's. Yeah, the G force.
The G monies.
Yeah, the G's.
The dollars, the $1,000.
And it kind of, it does make your guts go a little bit. But it's in a different way to like walking. Because walking makes
your
me
brain,
nauseous.
your brain is just like, what is
happening? I don't
happening?
get necessarily nauseous from driving really fast. I do dedefinitely feel the adrenaline.
Yeah.
And it can make me feel a little bit.
Well,
but, like,
I feel like you get tired
jolted,
type thing. Or like I was playing Dirt the other day. I was doing the Rallycross, which is the circuits. Have you played?
I have.
You played that?
The wheel.
So I had one where I went to go into the corner. It was the final lap. I was going to the corner, and I knew there was a dude here. So I tried to give him enough room that he wouldn't hit me. Apparently I didn't, or he came up. I don't care what happened. He hit me, and I spun out. And like that was the first time I was like, holy shit. Like, because it wasn't quick. It was just enough. They just like, whoa.
The merciful thing with Dirt as well is that when you're going to flip, then they black you out.
Yeah.
Which is really smart if you think about it, to avoid that kind of,
and it makes sense to do it in the aspect of the game.
Yeah, exactly.
We're like, ooh, okay. And I'm gonna
so they don't do that in Drive Club, by the way. But it's
Drive Club more arcadey though.
Yeah. But
Drive Club, you can adjust your height in the seat, which is really weird. That was the thing I think with Dirt was getting myself adjusted right.
I like Drive Club a lot. I really enjoyed it.
I didn't. I like
the
Dirt
drifting
better.
was what I
Dirt is better.
I've never really drifted before, so doing it, even pretend in VR, felt pretty sweet.
I do want to play with the wheel at some point because I feel like it would make it that much more immersive.
I have the wheel. You can try it.
I know you do.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, that's what we've been up to this week. Let's move on to the news of the week. And there is some news here that we... I can't find it publicly yet. I'm a backer of Ukulele, as I've stated many a times, and they sent out the latest backer email, which is like backer email 52 million. I feel at this point they've done one to two every month since it's been announced.
Well, that's good.
Nice.
At least they're keeping people abreast of what's going on.
So this is straight from Platonic Studios and the ukulele peoples over there. Ukulele has been in the wild for 2 whole weeks, and we've been positively overchuffed. You can tell they're English. By the response from fans and backers around the world. We very much enjoyed reading your feedback, lurking on your live stream, and absorbing your lovely comments, so again, thanks for the support. It's been emotional. Thanks to you, some of our 20 developers remain off the streets, mostly fed, in a stronger position than ever to continue creating colorful, personality-plump adventures. But first, we've got to spit and polish to deploy. Spit and polish to deploy.
Spit and polish.
In the days since launch, as we've worked with speed towards the Nintendo Switch, the dev team has become frog-marched? What's that mean? Englishman, translate.
Basically, like, entrenched.
Oh. So the dev team has been frog-marched back down in the development mines to uncover our next big game update, which will add significant improvements and introduce some of the most requested features. That means stuff like the optional ability to skip dialogue faster, which I wanted, bypass cutscenes, or reduce those pesky gibberish voices. 2 good things, which should be... please to those speedrunners out there, which speedrunners have been complaining because you can't skip the dialogue. We'll also be adding a sprinkle of design polish throughout the adventure by a popular request, changes to how the camera operates. You can expect more detailed breakdown of the game update in the coming weeks as we continue to tinker around with the coding furnace. So one of the things I didn't have in here is they also at the bottom of the email said there's as you saw it, there's a GIF that's in the email showing what the new camera functionality will kind of look like. Obviously, you won't know until you play with it, but that's been my number one complaint with the game. If they fix that, it goes to me from like a 6.5, 7 to an 8, maybe 8.5. Because it's a fun game, and I told you, because you were like, I want to pick it up, and I was like, don't do it unless they...
I'm kind of waiting for the Switch version now, just to feel like kitty.
Because you bought a Switch.
I did buy a Switch.
That's what he did this week.
Yeah, that's another bit of news. I did buy a Switch, and I wasn't expecting to. One of my buddies posted it on Facebook and said, hey, Switches are on Amazon right now. And I'd been looking on and off for one.
And I said, meh.
Yeah, you said meh, and I said, I have to do it. So I did it, and now I have a Switch. So there you go.
Yeah. So you're waiting for ukulele? Because I've said, from the get-go, ukulele fits perfectly on Nintendo platform.
Right, and I'm just like, I've already seen it on PS4, and it is graphically probably going to be superior on PS4, but...
well, in a game like that, it doesn't really matter.
That's true. But, yeah, I don't know. I just I think the Switch one might have like a few extra.
And if they fix the camera and it's the right thing, I think it's worth it.
Perfect.
That's like I said, that's been my number one complaint is the camera has been wonky, and I was just like, what's happening?
Great news.
There's a few other things too, but that's the big one. The other one that I'm very excited, the skipping the text because the noises.
That was pissing me off.
Yeah, I can't do that. Next bit of news. It literally just says PS5 ?
Ooh.
So there is an analyst. I'm gonna open up this page here. From GameSpot.com. Next gen PlayStation system will launch in 2018, according to an analyst. We're going to make sure we pause this video so it doesn't make noise.
That would piss me off so bad.
The wait for the next iteration of PlayStation may not be as far away as you expected, at least according to one analyst. The Wall Street Journal reports that Macquarie Capital Securities analyst Damien Thong has said to expect Sony to release its next generation PlayStation by the second half of 2018. Analysts' predictions don't always pan out, and this isn't necessarily based on an inside scoop, but the Wall Street Journal's reporter notes on Twitter that this is the same analyst who correctly predicted the PS4 Pro and PS4 Slim ahead of their respective launches. So there's some credibility to it. Again, grain of salt type thing. This certainly lends to some credence to the prediction, though it in all likelihood won't be officially any word from Sony for quite some time. PS4 was announced 9 months prior to its release, while the Slim and Pro revisions were revealed just 1 week and 2 months, respectively, before they hit store shelves. Announcing a new system in the future... Oh, advertisement. No thanks. Announcing a new system in the near future would undercut some of the hype for Microsoft's upcoming Project Scorpio, which stands to be more powerful in the PS4 Pro, but doing so would likely impact the sales of PS4 and PS4 Pro.
Yeah, they'd be dead.
With Sony's console competition... routinely, let's try that again. With Sony's console routinely outselling the competition, it may be too soon to see tease new hardware.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I would be mad.
I would too.
I got to be honest. I mean, how long?
But you also upgraded to the Pro.
True.
Somebody who didn't upgrade to the Pro, I'm not as mad because those of us didn't do the half generation.
That's the big people that slap in the face of the people that did buy the Pro. But the
I was saying from day one.
When was
if
the
you had a PS4
released? What year?
2013.
Okay, so I mean that's a 5-year cycle. Yeah. 6 if you add that.
Which is what normal console cycles have been until the 360, which I think the recession
360 and PlayStation 3 promised they were going to be 10-year.
But I think the recession is what hurt that.
You think so?
Made that extended. So because people had no money to pay for it because we're in. I
mean, don't get me wrong, I'll fucking buy it, but at the same time, like I would be pretty pissed, especially after getting that Pro.
Like I said, I'm not as upset because I didn't buy a Pro because I was somewhat smart.
Hey man, it's one guy's thing. If it doesn't pan out,
but if it does pan out, how mad you
gonna
be? If it does pan out, I'll be happy.
We'll have that argument later.
You're like, I don't want to think about that now.
I'm just gonna put that to the back of my mind.
Yeah. So PS5, they're working on something. They are.
They have to constantly be working on something.
And they're probably working on PSVR 2.0, which means I have a feeling that'll integrate more with PS5. Hopefully, no breakout box needed. That would be fantastic. Because that's what Scorpio is saying is it's going to be ready out of the box.
Dude, VR ready out of the box. PS5 and a wireless VR going with it would be like
I don't think we're going to have wireless VR. I think that's a pipe dream right now. I don't think we're going to have that with the next console. I think that might be a couple iterations down the road.
We'll see.
But I think because you're going to have to deal with weight on your head.
So picture me this though: if they release the PlayStation 5 in 2018 and they don't release an updated version of the headset, but they allow you to use the current headset, then you've just dropped another, let's say, $500 on this new machine. Your Pro has become obsolete, or your PlayStation 4 is now obsolete.
Or if they do the Scorpio thing, where everything on PlayStation 4 will play on the whatever the new console is.
Yeah, I mean that would
route.
definitely be a bonus. But then if they're still updating the VR headset, then again that's what, another maybe 2 years behind that, and then 2 years later, suddenly the VR headset you paid $500 for is now obsolete, and you have to get another one for $500. It feels like a little bit nickel and dimey, considering that PlayStation, all consoles used to last a big chunk of time. I mean, the PlayStation 2 had like a 13-year lifespan.
Average life is 7 years for a console.
Well, that's because PlayStation 2 pumped it up some, but it's
the average life is 7 years.
But it's I don't know, it's frustrating. But
I don't think a new VR headset, and I don't think a new headset and PlayStation 5 will be announced at the same time. I think we'll have the PSVR version 1.0. If, say this is true, we have the new console 2018, I think then we'll have a new headset 2019. I'm just going to say it now, because the people who bought into that new console maybe want VR. If it is indeed no breakout boxes, I know that's been some people's complaint, is like, why do I need this extra box? And it takes up a USB port that you don't necessarily
Podcast 24. Write down your Keegan's prediction for the release of the PS5 and the VR headset 2 in 2018 and 2019.
I've got a whole bunch of those, don't I?
I know. I'm hoping someone is keeping a calendar somewhere, so when they come back and go, no, Keegan's full of shit.
Yeah. But I like I said, I'm not as upset because I have a launch PS4, launch window PS4, and that makes me happy because I'm like, cool. I've then had my PS4 because I had mine since 2014. That would be 4 years, which again, I don't think I'd buy it day one. I would probably same thing with PS4. I didn't buy PS4 day one because it depends on launch lineup. Same thing with Switch. I didn't buy Switch day one because launch lineup. But give it a year, they build the library out. I might jump in on it at that point. So then that's 5 years in.
Yeah, that
to me is understandable.
Well,
so
we'll see.
If it doesn't support VR, the original VR headset, then it's I think a bigger issue. But I think it will. They'd be too dumb if they didn't.
Yeah.
So this last bit of news you wanted me to put in here because
you know nothing of this.
I know nothing of it. Darksiders 3 leaked. First details and screenshots on Amazon.com.
That sucks so bad.
That is so tiny. Let me blow this up so I can read it. Amazon has inadvertently leaked Darksiders 3. The retailer pushed live the game's product page via Gematsu ahead of any official announcements, revealing the core features and giving us a first look at screenshots and concept art. The game stars Fury, a female mage who uses a whip and magical abilities. Fury has different forms, each allowing her to access new moves, weapons, and traversal abilities. The page describes the world as an open-ended, free form. Fury is on a quest to restore balance between good and evil. Her goal is to defeat the 7 deadly sins and their servants. By the sounds of it, it looks to be set after the events of the first game. And there's a few screenshots here. And then it says been developed by Gunfire Studio.
So you've never played a Darksiders, have you?
Hold on. Amazon has the release for December 31st, 2018, placeholder, but that does not confirm it will be coming out then.
Yeah.
But it does confirm that it will be coming out PC, PS4, and Xbox One.
I guarantee this was supposed to be at E3.
Yeah, probably. But I've never played Darksiders now.
So Darksiders games are like a cross between God of War and Zelda.
It kind of looks, just looking at these screenshots here, it kind of looks like World of Warcraft style art.
The art style a little bit like that. But, I mean, the first game you played, War. And here's the thing.
Is his name War, or his name is War? You played War.
No, his name is War. Like, basically, you're supposed to be the 4 horsemen, but they changed the horsemen a little differently because it's supposed to be like War, Death, Famine, and Pestilence, but instead it's like, I think it's War, Death, Fury, and Strike or something like that. But so they changed a couple of them, I guess, to make it more interesting. But you play in a very God of War, just kind of like running from monster to monster, ////, and then, but the way that you approach the world is that it's kind of open. You can go to different areas and accomplish different things at different times, very similar to a Zelda game. There's like dungeons, so to speak. And It was an amazing game. The first game was incredible. The second game I have yet to play. It's been in my folder of a billion games that I need to get to for a long time, and I can't wait to try it because I love the first game so much.
But now you got to switch to play Zelda, so you'll have trouble there.
Right, exactly.
Persona and Zelda, that's all you need.
What scares me about this is I wouldn't say scares me, but what I find to be a little repulsive is that, this giant conglomerate company leaked a little moment of surprise from everyone, because for people that are giant fans of this series, if you watch like an E3 presentation, you're sat there watching E3, you're waiting for your favorite franchise to come up, and then they're like, the lights dim, and then the cinema music starts, and then you start seeing different things, and that moment for a lot of people is just such an awesome thing. You remember how freaked out I was by Resident Evil 7 at the last E3 that we did, and
I don't know what you're talking about.
But to rob that of people by just something so stupid, just posting something a little too... I mean, even if you posted like the name and the release date, that would be bad enough.
I'm guessing somebody made a mistake somewhere.
There's screenshots. You know what I mean? Like, that's a shame.
You have to assume that the person didn't mean to do that. Like, they didn't do it maliciously.
It's an accident.
They didn't maliciously do it.
I am assuming it's an accident. Someone didn't read the fine print or whatever. But I think that it sucks when a game of that magnitude, and that is a very popular franchise, gets kind of ruined for people. I mean, some people want to see that, and some people are like, "Oh my god, that's so good! We get news, earlier." But for a lot of people, they miss that big reveal, which just kind of bums me out a little bit. But saying that, I would play it.
Would you?
So yeah, I like those games.
Yeah, I know nothing about the game.
You would probably like it. It's a little dark because it's all kind of based on war and famine and stuff.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like the actual mechanics of it, if you like Zelda, it's very similar. Very similar.
Yeah.
So there you
go. Hold on. I wasn't going to talk about this, but we have a little bit more extra time, so hold, because Nintendo launched a new portable system here a couple days ago. Do you know what it's called?
The Ultra Supreme Color Advanced 2DS XL.
The new Nintendo 2DS XL coming this July. So, first things first, it's a clamshell design. It looks just like the 3DS. For those of you who don't know, the 2DS is, I don't know, it looks like a Tamagotchi kind of shape. It's a big Tamagotchi.
It's an egg. That's what it is.
Yeah. But I've not picked up a Nintendo console partially because I don't play portable games that often. This is weird with the Switch being out and then this.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to see they're still paying attention to the DSs, but
yes.
I do
the
think
Switch is eventually going to cannibalize it.
I think this is one of the more unnecessary console releases of our time.
So what I like about it, two things. One, it's launching at $49.99, cheapest
that is good.
XL
that is good.
New Nintendo DS lineup ever. Because a lot of people don't play the 3D, which some games need it, like the Zelda game. I'm trying to think, is it Link Between Worlds, I think, is the one on DS. Uses it really well.
Don't they have Wind Waker and stuff?
Yeah, but Link Between Worlds, I think, is one that uses it the best because the puzzles are vertical.
Gotcha.
You can do it without it, but it's a lot harder. So the launch, I think the price is perfect, and I think this is for people like me that haven't bought a DS yet but want to get into it. Good starting point.
Yeah.
I don't care about 3D. The price point has always been a sticking point.
It's all compatible with the back catalog of the regular DS. So there's a lot of good stuff in the DS back catalog.
So,
not a bad.
In the US, I hate the naming system though. The new 2DS XL will be available in black turquoise color scheme for $149.99 starting July 18th, the same day as two Nintendo's big summer games for 3DS, Miitopia, role-playing starring Mii's, whatever, and Hey Pikmin, announced July 28th today for Miitopia and 2 weeks ago for Hey Pikmin. So I'm excited. It looks like it's the same processor and all that inside as the new 3DS.
Okay.
Which I like because the problem you ran into a couple things.
So it's just kind of like a fancy version of the 3DS without the 3D.
Yes.
Gotcha.
You know what else is nice? It will come with an AC adapter. First Nintendo handheld, I think, ever. Maybe since like the Advanced. They come with an AC cable. Which is so dumb.
Yeah, it's been dumb. But that's a nice little cherry on top, for sure. So
Nintendo also confirmed plans to launch the new 2DS XL. Say that like 10 times fast. It's real hard.
New 2DS XL.
Yeah. In Europe, but not specific price or release date yet. So, you European people, if you're watching us, you're going to get it. You just don't know how much and when. So it's exciting because like I said, as somebody who has not jumped in the handheld games, there's games I want to play on it, like
vast
Pokemon.
back
I don't know.
catalog.
Pokemon is a real good one. Sun and Moon. So I'm excited about that, but like, I don't want to drop $300 to play those. And I've looked many times at bundles, like when they go on sale, picking it up. There's Mario games, the Zelda games.
That's
I
the
think
thing
are
about
fun,
Nintendo games is they very rarely lose any kind of monetary value.
Yeah.
They're always expensive.
because it's Nintendo.
Yeah, even now you go and try and buy like an N64 game, they're all still very pricey.
Yeah. Amen. Especially the ones that you love
Yeah.
and remember. I don't know. I paid what, 30, I think 35 for, which wasn't full price for Mario 64. It wasn't a great looking cartridge though.
Well,
So,
I'm
Smash
at
Bros. is
least
70.
grateful that I could buy the rare replay.
Yeah.
So we can eventually tackle
Banjo-Kazooie.
things like... I think Conquer's is on there too, isn't it? Is it?
Probably. I've never played Conkers. I think it is. It might be. It better be.
You would love the shit out of that.
Oh, I know. I would. It's me now, but I never played it because I was a kid when that came out and
Oh,
there
you
was
weren't
obviously
allowed.
adult humor.
Yeah,
So
fair enough.
there was that. But
Cool.
so that's the news. Let's go ahead and move on.
That's the
Is that your news break?
Yeah.
Let's move on to the game spotlight. And what this is going to be us kind of talking about a game we either have played recently or we want to kind of shed some light on, whether it's indie, AAA, whatever it may be, just something that we're like, you need to check this out.
Yeah.
So what's your game spotlight for this week?
My game spotlight is a game by a company called Giant Sparrow. It's a game that's been a long time coming, and it's a game that surprised even me with how bizarre and beautiful it is at the same time. And that game is What Remains of Edith Finch.
Which I've said last week. I'm looking. I think I said it on the Bargain Basement. I can't remember where I said, but I said somewhere on our channel that I want to pick it up at some point because it looks interesting.
It is a very weird game, but in the best possible sense. So it reminds me, there's a company called, I think they're called like the Chinese Room, and they used to make these kind of, what do they call them when you're just walking simulator?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
So they
when
used
you're
to
just walking. Or it was
Yeah, so they used to make these like walking simulator games, and they made a really popular one called Dear Esther. And Dear Esther was basically just kind of like a poem or a short story told through the medium of a first-person adventure. And there was no like items, there was no weapons, there was no nothing. It was just exploring, just walking, just exploring. So this game, Edith Finch, comes off the tradition of that style of game, and also the style of game Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. The level of detail is impeccable.
Have you played it?
I have, yeah.
How far are you into it?
So I'm not super far into it. I've knocked a couple people off the family tree. The idea is you're kind of going through the family tree to try and
see what
piece
happened.
together everything. Yeah. So I've knocked a couple folks off the tree. But for example, I'm not giving away too much here, but if you do want to
Potential spoiler warning.
potential spoiler warning.
That's
The
our
very,
spoiler
very
warning
first sort of family member that you encounter is a young girl. And it's so weird. So you start off with this young girl and you're hungry, right? So you're walking around the house and you're like eating anything that you can get your hands on. And it starts getting like really creepy at some points because she's like, she'll eat like her dry hamster food. But then she'll start eating like toothpaste. And it's just like, and you're just kind of like, there's something wrong with this
something
girl.
not right.
And then you see a bird at your window. You go out to the window and suddenly you're a cat.
Okay.
Yeah. And then so you have to chase this bird through these trees. So like your only button, and by the way, it doesn't tell you how to do anything.
Doesn't
like
look great at
even
all.
at the beginning screen where you first get into the game and the title screen's up there, I was sat there for 5 minutes waiting for something to happen until I realized I had to look. And then I looked around for another 5 minutes. I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, what am I supposed
What
to
am
do?
I doing?
I look at my lap, story starts. So it's just because I just, and then it's like you have to guess which button, like, opens the book and stuff like that, and it forces you to guess what the controls are. So I figured out that a cat could only leap, so you're leaping from tree branch to tree branch, and you're like, I'm gonna fucking die. And then bear with me because it gets weirder. Then you're an eagle because you fall off the tree and you turn into an eagle. So then you're actually flying and you're like swooping down on rabbits and killing rabbits.
Do you think these are all metaphors for things, or do you think
I'm
it's just
sure they're a part of the story somehow.
exploratory?
It's very bizarre because
I haven't played it yet. Like I said, I want to. I haven't. I've just seen the trailer.
Haven't figured out if this is really a little girl or if it's a cat, to be honest, because
Maybe it's,
the
do you ever
main
watch Harry
character, I think Edith is the main character. She goes like, we had a cat called Molly, and I swear to God the girl's name was Molly, but when they drew it on the family tree it was a little girl.
You know, Molly is marijuana.
It's not.
That's Mary.
It's
Jane.
MDMA, but
No.
but it's
Is it?
purified MDMA.
I don't know.
But
I do drugs, not really.
but yeah. So you go from an eagle to a shark, which I loved. It's super like creepy and everything.
So how long between these transitions is it? Like is it like a 50-minute
think
thing,
about a
or
level's
is it,
worth.
or is it like
well, it's usually you have to perform a couple of tasks.
Okay,
it's
so
like a mini level.
okay, so
Yeah.
it's not like 5 minutes. Every 5 minutes you're switching. It's
No,
hey,
it's part of the story because,
Yeah.
as you're walking around this mansion and discovering these things, the really clever way they do it is the text appears on screen of this little girl explaining the story, and so you have the screen up, and then she'll read what it says, but they play it into the environment amazingly. So, for example, when you're first approaching the house, there's like a gate that you open, and the words are there, and then when you open the gate, it smashes the words, and they kind of all filter away, and you're like, this is such a clever game. So yeah, I mean, I've already been a billion different animals and a monster. It was just a tentacle. That was really cool. And that was the story of the little girl. And then I moved on, and I'm looking at the grandfather and stuff now. So it's just, it's been so far a really neat experience, beautiful game. I would absolutely hands down recommend checking it out. But don't expect there to be a ton of like action. It is very much a walking story.
Would you say similar to like Virginia? Remember when we played that?
Yes, in a
Similar
sense,
concept.
like stylistically, obviously very different.
Yeah,
to that,
but like but the feel of like
as far as
are
you're just kind of a part of a
through-
story, but you do control maybe a little bit more than you do in Virginia.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So my game spotlight is one that because I didn't really have one of mine. I was going to talk about one. I was like, I want to talk about one I actually thoroughly enjoy, and I am in the process of actually finally finishing it. I was going to do it on the stream, and I was like, you know what? It's never going to happen. I just want to finish the game. Limelight. So
Good little game.
those of you who don't know, Limelight I think is made by 3 developers total. I don't think they have a name of a company, but
It's a small group. I remember that much.
they reached out. They were on one of our live streams when we were doing it, and
Yeah,
they
you were
tweeted,
like
and I
the
was
first
like, oh my
night
God.
it came out, you played it, and
Yeah.
a couple of the devs showed up. That was awesome.
So, Limelight, what it is, basically, it's a puzzle game where you are a light and you follow lines and you solve puzzles. And one of the things it does really well is the progression system of that game, where it's like, first level, you learn, like, it's kind of like Eat a Fish, where it doesn't tell you what to do, but it's pretty obvious what you need to do. You just push the button, and you, like, to start the game, you
It teaches
use the
you
stick.
mechanics by doing the mechanics.
Yeah, and it builds on itself. So when it starts out, it's just you go through, you unlock a gate, cool. That's how you go to the next level. You click. Actually, I think the first one is literally just move, collect a light, and you're like, okay, that's what I need to do.
Yeah,
That's my goal.
This is how you.
Then from there it goes, okay, here's gates. Okay, from there you can have multiple paths. Okay, here's switches to move the paths, and then
here's enemies.
yeah, and then you get things that'll attack you, and then you get to. I'm now to the point where I'm in world 6, I believe, which is the last world. Spoiler, I guess, if you don't want to know what happens in the last one, but there's now different color lines that, like, so when I go to open a gate, there's one of the puzzles is you have to split off, and there's a switch here and a switch here, and you have to hit them at the same time. But I'm only one line, so I can't go this because you have to be inside of it. So what they have is this little terminal thing that you go in. You have to time it because you'll get a red little line after you leave the terminal based on the timer, but it follows your path. So if you go too soon, so say I go to this terminal that's over here on the left, I go to unlock this, and I go over here and wait for the guy to unlock that. If he comes and traps me, I'm dead. So you got to time it out to where he will stay there long enough, and then you move to this one and unlock the gate.
It seemed like the game was like 50% actual puzzle knowledge and
Yeah.
50% timing.
Yeah, which I loved.
yeah.
I mean, Blue, shout out to Blue, Blue Moon Gaming Blue Moon. I don't know officially what he's called,
My
but
boy,
Blue. I think he bought the game because he watched me do the live stream, and it's one of those games that just like
It's super zen.
it shouldn't be holy shit. That was incredible, but there's moments where you're like, that is great game design. So shout out to the devs for that, because I very rarely have a game. I think the last one was Inside, and even Inside I didn't have the same feeling, which those of you who know, it was my game of the year last year. I didn't have the same feeling of, wow, that was like the sense of accomplishment of solving a puzzle and the amount of different things they threw at you within these puzzles. I didn't have that while playing Inside, because I feel like Inside was very...
It kept you engaged the
see.
entire way through.
Yeah, and it was just... And it's a line on a screen. Like, that's the part I
Very
think is most
simplistic
mind-blowing.
puzzle game, but it also has a lovely aesthetic to it, and it's also kind of zen. It's kind of relaxing to play, even though like you're doing semi-stressful puzzles.
The music
they're
is
still,
beautiful.
Like,
It's just like...
you know, It's kind of, you can just kind
Atmospheric.
of meditate and be like,
Yeah.
okay, how do I solve this?
So it's on PS4, PC. I don't know if it's on Xbox One, and they're about to release an iOS version for it.
Cool.
So that's exciting. So they're actually, if you go onto their Twitter at Limelight Game, I believe is the Twitter handle, they're looking for playtesters for iOS.
We should point out that's LINELIGHT. It's when you say it out loud, sometimes it sounds like Limelight, but it's
Limelight.
Light.
Check them out. They're looking for playtesters. I actually might reach out to them, but hey, I want to see what it looks like on iOS because I love the game so much. But that's kind of that's the game I really wanted to spotlight. Show
Two indies,
it on.
huh?
Yeah, dude, indie games is where it's at. I was talking to somebody the other day. I think I was in a Kind of Funny Facebook group or something where I was like, and we've said it before, but indies are the heart and soul of the gaming industry that make things happen. Think about PSVR right now. 90% of those games are indies.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, if you were just to rely on big release, like before indies were popular, and this is back in my day.
You also had the mid tiers, the THQs as well.
But you would only ever get like maybe 2 games a week or
a year.
Yeah, whatever. A year, not a year. That would suck.
A year.
But 2 games every once in a while, and now with the power of indies, you get you still get like 1 or 2 AAAs or double A's
distribution.
But then but with you might get 500 other games, of which 2 of them might actually be really fascinating. So it's
which is good and bad. It's good because it's overcrowded, but bad because it's
there's something for everyone though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like for the games that I like, you like obviously usually very different games, and then of course there's going to be other people that like entirely different games. So it's I think it's not necessarily oversaturated in the way that the Wii market was oversaturated because they are all quality titles for the most part. There's only like 1 every month I would say that I'm just like, how is this a thing? But usually they're pretty cool.
Are they?
Yeah.
So this moves in to our bonus level, which I didn't tell you what the topic is. Do you want to guess what the topic is? It's what I've been talking about for a while, and we've actually never done it yet.
No, I have no idea.
Do $60 VR games work? So there are very few $60 VR games for PSVR specifically, which are the system we own. The one I have is Eve. You obviously bought Resident Evil,
I have
which
Eve
was
as well.
60. Yeah.
Like
I think those are the only 2 right now that I can think
Robinson
of.
was
60. Yeah, I didn't buy that. You did.
I bought it for 32 off Amazon Prime.
But full price is 60.
But yeah, full price.
Charge for 60.
Full price, full digital price.
Yes.
Because they actually have dropped it below that physically, but digitally it was
still
60. I think they may have even dropped that to 50 now. But yeah, when it came out for a long time, 60.
So the question is, do $60 VR games work? Can they work in the future?
Do you want to start or do you want me to start?
I want you to start because I have an opinion. I want to hear your opinion first.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thanks for watching, guys.
No, here's why. And I have to preface this by saying not all games that have a $60 price tag
and not
on
all
them
games work.
deserve a $60 price tag on them. But there are experiences, and I'm sure there will continue to be experiences as we grow with the medium, that would definitely require them to have the same price tag as a full-price game. The first one I can think of, very loudly and clearly, is Resident Evil 7. Even though that was a flat game as well as a VR game.
That's what I was going to say. That was going to be my argument.
But even if you separated it, even if you said, okay, you have to buy the flat separate to the VR, or you have to buy the VR only.
That would cause a shit show if you did that.
It would. But if they did that, the VR version would still be worth $60, in my opinion.
Because you played the whole game in VR.
Yeah, I played the entire fucking game in VR.
Have you played it non-VR?
I've ever had.
No,
actually, I played the beginning hour demo non-VR. The second they released that demo in VR, it changed my entire opinion of VR, as you remember. So I'd never had any fear like that before in my life, and it was an absolutely mind-blowing experience. And then when I got to play the full game, sure, it has its flaws. The ending does seem rushed, and there's definitely downsides to it, but like I would not at all have been disappointed because of that level of experience that they put into it. Saying that, there are plenty of VR games which think they have that level of experience and they don't. So I would say it's absolutely viable as a potential price tag, but the amount of games that will actually be worthy of that price tag should be like slim to none.
Yeah.
It should be Resident Evil 7 quality or
best of
nothing.
the best.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So I'm the opposite. I don't think,
Shocker.
as of right now, I don't think there should be any $60 VR games. My experience is based on Eve. Because that game, I played it, and it was good. It was fun. It was great.
All the DLC for Eve has been free, though.
Yeah, but still.
I'm just saying, it's like Destiny. They created a world that was bare bones.
It's not like Destiny, because Destiny had to pay for Taken King, which is
True,
$40.
True, but in terms of like they started the game with bare bones, and then they have added other modes. They've added planets. They've added like more and more to it.
Yeah, which is good, but again, it's like Destiny. I paid $60 expecting it to be a certain level of game, and it was not.
That's
so
fair.
I'm going to set it on the side.
60 at launch.
I've always said the $30 sale that's been going on for God knows how long now. I think it's been perfect for it.
I haven't seen it today actually when I checked
so
the store.
finally,
So I think it finally ended.
Finally ended. But I don't think it's worth it, because to me, a VR game, the way and it's always could be a broader thing, are games worth what they cost? And the way I look at how I price the game out personally is time invested versus money spent. I think is the easiest way to determine that.
think there's another thing to add to that.
And experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the quality of experience
Yes.
or because I think it's an and/or.
Yeah.
Time invested.
Which is kind of what
Because you have $60 experiences, like let's say Uncharted 4, right? Or Last of Us, right? Last of Us was such a mind-blowing experience for everyone that played it. I don't think there was a single person in the world that thought this isn't worth $60. But it was only technically an 8 to 12-hour game. Final Fantasy, may have its flaws. It actually happens, the new one happens to be pretty badass in its own right. But even so, it's a 100-hour game. Persona 5, 100-hour game. So if I know that I'm going to get a game that's going to at least keep me entertained, like for 100 hours, I treat it the same way as I would like a concert or something. Like $60, break that down by 100 hours. That's fucking worth every penny. But there are exceptions to the rule.
Yeah. So a lot of my gaming is, I play a lot of multiplayer online when I play AAAs, and then when I'm not playing AAAs, which is kind of not all the time. I play them. I don't play games by myself that often, but when I do, they're indie games. And the reason I like indie games, there's two reasons. One, I think they're the most creative things in the world, because AAAs, when you're dealing with a big budget, you can only spend so much time being
There's
creative.
always something a little bit more unique.
You've got to be safe, essentially, when you're spending that much money. And I understand, like, fucking Rockstar knocks it out of the park, but you can't tell me GTA is not... GTA has innovations in it, but I don't think it's a groundbreaking game or a new groundbreaking mechanic that's never been seen before in that game.
Anymore. I think when they went to GTA 3, that was
yes.
they created the sandbox.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree with that, but I feel like they've never...
Every year it's been a graphical update with a feature update.
Bigger
It's
world,
almost like sports games.
more stuff.
It's almost like sports games where they just say, this is the stuff that's new this time.
Versus I'm more likely to spend, I don't know, $15 on an indie game, because the other thing too is I guess it's the level of disappointment if it's not good.
True.
It's not as high. So I'm going to use Destiny, because as you know, I have very strong opinions on Destiny. I don't like Destiny. I've been burned by Destiny 3 times now. Well, twice. And then I tried it the third time, and I was like, I just can't do this. I bought Destiny with my PlayStation. Well, technically I got it for Christmas. So I got it with my PlayStation 4 at Christmas, along with Madden. Destiny was supposed to be the game I played. Like, Madden was supposed to be the one that fell in while playing Destiny. And turns out Destiny sucked. And granted, I didn't spend...
Destiny didn't suck.
No, it sucked.
It didn't suck. The gameplay, the gunplay, all of that stuff was good. It was just the fact that there was nothing there.
No, it sucked.
You didn't like the gameplay either?
I liked the gunplay, but it was not enough. No, because if I were to give Destiny at launch a rating, I would have probably given it a 3 or 4. That's how I felt about the game.
Where'd the 3 and the 4 come from? The gunplay and the gameplay?
Yeah. But it didn't make up for the gaping hole that was there.
That's fair, but I think you have to treat it semi-fair. Like, the actual gameplay itself was decent. It was just that the disappointments lay outside of the gameplay. It was you like Halo.
Yeah.
But like, it was the fact that it was an unfinished game. They were nickel and diming everyone from the second that they were able to, and that it got really repetitive really fast. Like, those are the sucky parts of it. But you have to say the game itself wasn't terrible. Like, there's, in my opinion. You can say it sucks.
It sucked. In my opinion, it sucked because the reason it sucked is I felt like I had to pay another $40 to get the game I was promised. That's why. More than... Because, yes, the game itself was good, but I felt like it's kind of like Star Wars Battlefront. I have the same opinion on Star Wars Battlefront where I was defending that game at launch. I was like, oh, it's going to be great. I feel like I got ripped off by Battlefront. That's why I'm really hesitant to buy Battlefront 2. I'm really hesitant by Destiny 2 because I'm like... I feel like I didn't get my money's worth out of the game versus... The Division. That's the prime example of the game I probably put the most time in, other than City Skylines,
game, even with the DLC.
Yeah, so here's something interesting about the Division with me is I love the base game. Had a fun time going through the story. I think I was one of the few people who actually like listened to the story in our group and was like, "Oh, this is really cool."
I had no idea what was going on.
The first round of DLC, the Underground, I was like, "Yeah, hell yeah, you're doing it right. I love this." Second round, Survival, it's like, man, this is cool. It's something different, but I didn't like it because of all that time I put into my character building up. It no longer existed. And then the third DLC, Last Stand, I was not a fan because I don't like PvP, and that's what it was PvP with PvE elements, and it's just like, what? I spent $40 on that season pass because I bought the gold edition. I still didn't feel ripped off for $100 because I spent however many days in that game in the base game playing Underground. And
do you think it would have been better, like knowing what you know now about Last Stand and the Survival? Do you think it would have been better if you just bought that in Underground and left it at that?
No. Reason being because I probably would have. I would have bought them anyway because that game did there's two reasons. One, that game gave me so much enjoyment. I spent so much time in it that I felt like I needed to support them. It's kind of like how I feel with Rocket League. I always buy Rocket League DLC, or for the most part I do. Last few I've skipped because I actually got the Hot Wheels one. But that game I got for free.
Yeah.
And the game is so good that I'm like, I want to support these developers. Very few games make me go out and like, I want to support you because your game is that good. So Rocket League is a prime example. Same thing, that's how I feel with The Division. Granted, that first DLC was fantastic, and I wouldn't have got back in the game if it wasn't for the DLC. Like, I stopped playing that game because we were done. It's like
that's a pretty high praise for a DLC too, because oftentimes DLC is an afterthought or it's something that you might go back in just to check it out, but it wouldn't necessarily drag you back into the main story. Now
the only thing I wish Division did was add a story DLC.
Yeah, but depending on like something like Resident Evil, for example, like you play the DLC to that, and then you've still finished the main story, and it's still pretty linear. But with Division, you have the other aspects like the the Dead Zone or whatever.
Dark Zone.
There you go. See how long it's been since I played the game. Okay, so you're saying $60 not worth it for any VR experience?
I don't think so. As of right now, there's been no VR experience for me worth $60.
Do you think if you enjoyed horror games and you had played Resident Evil 7, you might have a different opinion?
I can't answer that because I don't know I can't gauge a horror game because I don't like them. I don't like horror, so I can't give an honest answer on that. I could, based on what you said, I would say yes, but that's because you're influencing my decision on it based on what you've said and some of the things I've read on the internet.
Right.
But again, I personally can't give an answer to that. I think for me, for a $60 VR game, and this is probably pie in the sky, like it has to be a AAA franchise, like Elder Scrolls. If it's, I think an Elder Scrolls RPG would be perfect in VR. To me, that would be the first $60 VR game I would buy, or Fallout, or...
But it would have to be, like, a quality RPG.
Yes.
Because the problem now with all the RPGs that are kind of... There's been a couple that have shown up, like trailer-wise and everything. They all look like they're teleportation, or like they're focusing on, just the shittier aspects.
They're treating it more as, like, a VR... It's hard because you want them to treat it like a VR game, but they're not treating it as a full game. It's like the weird step cousin.
Yeah.
Like... That's why I think Resident Evil did so well, in your opinion, is it's I don't want to say real game because that's not the right word, but it's, if you took VR out of it, it's still a game.
Exactly. And
versus if you took VR out of a lot of the VR games now, it's not a
options, game. They said, hey, if you want to play it like this, play it like this. If you want a big cage for safety, do the cage. If you want to be able to go completely nuts and play it at your speed, you can do it. Look, you can even run, and it's like that, not treating the gamer like an idiot for wanting to have a VR experience of that quality was what made that game excel. More so even than the actual atmosphere and everything in there, was the fact that they didn't treat the gamer like an idiot. They were like, yes, you can make a top tier VR game.
To me, so the next game I'm kind of have on my radar, like you do, is Farpoint. But even Farpoint's not a $60 VR; it's a $50 or $40,
True,
$40 or $50 VR
game. Looks like it could be worth it.
That's what I'm saying. But that's the next one on my radar, and if that turns out to be, it's been equated to Halo. I think that's too much hype for it. There's no way it's going to be.
I think it'll be. I think it will be an absolute game changer for VR games.
I don't think it was going to be Halo
from the fact
in VR,
that
though.
I think that it will be. I don't think it'll be Halo VR, but I think that the one thing that's been majorly missing from VR is an FPS shooter.
It all comes down to how well that thing will track.
Not like a gallery thing. Well, here's the thing, though. Everyone that's used it has said it's incredible.
Good.
So it's like
that's what. As somebody who's not touched it, that's
about
my
as hype as I can
that's
get
my
for it.
that's my leer on it is, if as long as that thing can track fine and it's not, if the controller doesn't get in the way of the experience, it'll only enhance it.
I like also that means that we can finally maybe do away with the move controllers for shooting games. I don't necessarily mind it for double pistol games, but that little rifle setup they have with the aim controller is incredible. And I think that...
And they have a joystick on it, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah,
the fact that they thought about that,
exactly,
so you do movement and all that kind of
the one
stuff.
big thing missing from the Move is there's no joysticks.
Yeah. So, again, I I don't think, as of right now, I don't think there's a $60 VR game. I think there is, kind of like you said, I think there still is a market for it.
You're not ruling it out.
But there's a very high bar I have set to be VR, partially now because most VR games are 15 to 30. So that's kind of like the range I'm looking in anyway. But if, like I said, if Elder Scrolls, if Bethesda comes out at E3 and says, by the way, we're adding an Elder Scrolls Online VR thing, or we're making Skyrim VR compatible, like,
dude,
tell me you wouldn't buy that immediately.
Oh yeah,
like that's one of those things. Granted, Elder Scrolls is
and
a
I
big
think
one.
we're gonna get there. I do. I honestly like.
I mean, Fallout's being made in VR for Vive.
What you're hearing more and more, and I read a whole article about this about AAA developers in VR, and they're just saying that. Yes, people in the industry are saying it's definitely happening. They're definitely making them. It's going to take time. It's just going to take time, exactly. And like Resident Evil, I'm assuming had some kind of an awesome heads up on it because Sony probably went, "Hey, for our little thing here, our Morpheus, would you mind doing something?" But for the other guys, they got to now experience what is capable with Capcom. And let's be honest, Capcom, not necessarily the most groundbreaking company. I mean, they definitely have had their place in history, but they're not really the guys that changed the mold a whole lot. Like other than the survival horror aspect of Resident Evil.
Didn't they do Mega Man too?
Yeah, some other random shit like that. But like they're not really like
little small people like Mega Man.
But they're not the type of company necessarily.
You don't think of them in the same breath as like Naughty Dog
or Rockstar. You know. So for and remember, we saw the list. Take-Two Interactive has some VR stuff going on at E3.
But Take-Two owns a lot of things.
True, but I do think that
watch it be another 2K game.
No,
I hope it's not.
I really hope it's not.
That was not good.
But yeah, it's they're in the works. They're just going to take a couple years. They really are, and we just have to be patient. And as soon as those games start coming out, then you're going to start to experience what I experienced when I went through Resident Evil.
The only hesitation I have is somebody who thinks business terms. Is how long do you have to be patient for before the excitement wears off?
But I think a lot of these AA developers are doing fine tiding everyone over.
I agree, but we're already excited for the console or for the thing. Right. Think of somebody. I'm thinking. I don't want to say the average person because the average person is probably not going to pick up VR. But that's some point. That's the goal of. Hey, Mom, Jimmy for Christmas wants to get a PS4 and a PSVR. Let's pick this up together and let's have little Jimmy play whatever little Jimmy wants to play Minecraft in VR or whatever it may be.
Little Jimmy better mow some fucking lawns.
Yeah, but at some point the price would come down. All that that's what I'm saying though. That's in my opinion that's probably Sony's, that's Vive's, that's Oculus's ultimate goal is to get to that point where it's synonymous where if you buy a console or a PC, you want to buy...
Well, with the Scorpio as well being VR ready, if they're going to open up that platform, if that platform is powerful enough to run an Oculus or a Vive, then that's a whole other market share they open up, which again helps for growth. So it's good news all around, I think. But I think to an extent you're right. Me personally, I've experienced my $60 game. You haven't had the option to experience one yet, so I think when you do, you'll probably change your mind.
Yeah, I mean, I've had cool experience. Like Batman was a cool experience when I played it for the first time.
But even I wouldn't say
Job Simulator was cool when I played it for the first time. Yeah. And it's weird because we also look at VR differently. I look at VR as a fun time to escape things and just be stupid, which is pretty much my life in general. That's how I play video games a lot of times.
Escape things, be stupid.
Well, like Elder Scrolls, I jump off cliffs. It's funny in Ghost Recon because I'm kind of serious in that, but other than that, I'm like when I play, like I like the job simulators. I like the Werewolves Within because they're fun. Versus
you think Werewolves Within is a $60 game?
No.
Would you pay $60 for it?
No.
Really?
No, I would have completely ignored it if it was $60.
Ah.
So it's a good game, but I think it's priced right where it should be for people to enjoy it and pick it up. If it's more than that, I don't think there's enough content.
I'm saying that because I know that's your kind of golden boy for VR right
now.
Yeah,
I don't think it would be. What is it? 30 full price, right?
Something like that.
I got it on.
Well, you can buy it in a Target bin for $8 nowadays, but yeah, it's about 30, I think.
So
or 40 maybe.
Because the problem I have with that game is, yes, replayability is fun with friends, but once you know all the roles, it's like, well, I know all the roles. Kind of what I'm stuck now. There's nothing being added to that game to make it.
But it's still a game.
Yeah,
I mean, you know the rules to Monopoly, but you still play it.
But I also don't think Monopoly is a $60 game. So I bought Uno for $10 the other day. So I think $60 VR games are potentially going to be there. I've yet to have one that makes me want to do it. I do hope that there's going to be one that makes me want to do it, and I would love to see that aspect of it. The one idea that I had, it was in the RPS VR group the other day, and somebody was like, what is your dream game in VR? And I said Elder Scrolls would be a dream game. My other one was I want a City Skylines in VR.
God game.
So you build in VR, you experience it in first person. Because you can only do that.
Well, that's like the old theme park games and stuff. They would let you walk around the park after, but it'd be cool to do. I mean, don't they have that like Fun Fair game, whatever it's called? Carnival VR? No, Carnival VR.
Carnival VR doesn't do it.
Not that one. There's another
The Roller Coaster Dreams.
Roller Coaster Dreams.
No, it's garbage.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it does that, but it's not
is
good.
There, but it's not a good.
Yeah.
Not
Versus
a good
like City
implementation.
Skylines, or if fucking bring back good Roller Coaster Tycoon. Planet Coaster in VR would be awesome. Like that kind of stuff. I love that those management games, and I think in God mode would be really cool to walk. Because I don't know if you feel the same way, but I like walking around in VR. Like that's why I like, what's the short video, the Illuminate? Is that what it's called? Illuminate. I like walking around and looking on that. Like I would stick my head around and be like, so what's here? What's there? What are you talking about? Like that kind of thing is what I enjoy about versus sitting down and playing VR. Is fun, but I can do that with playing a normal game versus moving around in a 3D space.
Do you want to be more
is
involved
awesome.
in
Yes.
VR games?
So I think that'd be really cool to like, oh, there's a fire over here. Where's the fire truck? Fire truck's over here. Cool. Let me tell him to come here. And like assign him to go that way and all that kind of stuff. So that to me would be a $60 game. Either Elder Scrolls or a God game like that, because I love those type of games. Or there's RTS games already out, but like Civ 6.
I was thinking about when you were saying about SimCity XCOM. Like, because that has, again, a ton of management aspects to it, but then when you're in the battle, being in VR would be kind of cool. Having the aliens, like, pop up out of place.
And you switch between the two based on what
teleportation's perfect for that game, because it's all grid-based teleportation anyway.
So, little things
do
like
that shit. Let's get XCOM VR going. Start a petition. Fuck.
So, that's what it would take to get me to pay $60 for a game, and I think that's fair because it's what I expect out of a $60 normal game. Is I expect a good experience that I'm going to put a lot of time or have a cool experience with and be able to play it for hours and replayability. Even if the game's short, I can replay it and have fun with it, which is, cool. I'm still playing City Skylines, and I bought that in 2012 or something, or 2013. So it gives you an idea of where we're at.
Yeah.
I've made St. Louis the other day.
Did you?
Yeah. Took a lot of fucking time.
I could imagine so.
Yeah. I didn't finish it, though. It flooded. I took a tsunami and wiped out the city.
Appropriate for our current...
yeah, we're underwater.
Yeah.
Yeah, the highway on the way here was the highway was underwater.
Closed
but
it, didn't they?
There's 44 was closed.
All this Midwest flooding that's been going on.
Yeah. So, but we are the Level 2 Gamers. This is the Level 2 Podcast, episode 24.
24.
Which is the one after Michael Jordan. It's actually the Jeff Gordon episode, or... if you follow NASCAR now, it's the Chase Elliott episode. Do you know that? You probably didn't know that.
No.
If you want to follow us on Twitter, at Level2GamersSTL, on Instagram, Level2GamersSTL, Facebook, Level2GamersSTL.
All the books.
Or if you're listening to us on iTunes and or Google Play, head over to Level2Gamers.com, watch the video. We're on camera. Hi, everybody. If you are watching us online and you do just want to listen to us in the car, you can head over to iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, SoundCloud, all those other things that play audio through your car.
Oh, there was one other thing. We will also be doing a bit of cross-pollination here soon.
That sounds dirty.
Yeah. So we, if you're into like game podcasts, things like that, we're actually friends with a couple guys in St. Louis that have their own gaming podcast.
I saw Bobby the other day at work.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, I'm going to hang out with you. He was like, are you? I was like, yeah, I think. Tom's been lining this up.
The podcast, if you want to check it out, it's called The Casual Hour. And it's hosted by Johnny Amovich and Bobby Pease.
Amazich.
I can never pronounce his last name. Sorry, Johnny.
Amazich. And Bobby Pease.
But yeah, anyway, so we're going to be joining them on, I think, May 15th.
I don't know when their video goes live.
I don't know either, but I don't think it's a video. I think it's just...
Or that's what I meant, the audio. I don't know when that goes live.
So yeah, we'll no doubt link that out and share it with everyone when it's done, because that should be a fun thing to do.
Oh, yeah, I'm interested to see how it goes.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I talked to him the other day, and it was funny. I was like, hey, he's like, I heard. I was like, cool, I don't know what's going on.
Keegan doesn't know the meaning of casual.
No.
So I can't see how casual the conversation is going to be there, but we'll see. One last
shameless plug. If you do want some of the new merch, including an iPhone 7 or 7 Plus case, we are working on Android ones as well. I don't think we've got those up yet, but I will get those hopefully here shortly. Or Tom's lovely L2G STL, or the iHeart L2G, or the iHeart L2G. And we have backpacks too. Like, there's lots of things. There's mugs, everything. Head over to shop.spreadshirt.com/Level2GamersSTL. I need to make a shorter link. I need to do like I'm going to try and set it up so it's merch.level2gamersstl, but don't go there yet because it may not work. Shop.
We're gonna have a website at some point.
Yeah.
We just have a direct link and we can just send everyone there.
Shop.spreadshirt.com/level2gamersstl. Link will be in the description. If you're on our YouTube page, it'll also be on the links on the header. You can click there and it'll take you there. Also, if you want to support us, we're on Patreon as well. No requirement to, but it does help us out. We're actually in talks right now, a little behind the scenes here at the end, of getting Mr. David to help us with some content, and that some of that Patreon money is going to getting supplies for him to be able to do that. So
buy the boy an Elgato.
We're excited. Do some capturing. So thank you guys that do support us on there. Thank you to anybody.
We've had a lot of new subscribers lately.
Yes.
So thank you for joining and hanging out.
We're closing in on 900.
Yeah, we are. We're getting real close. I don't know how many of you watch which parts of it, but if you do happen to stop by the podcast, and this is a lot more casual for us than what we normally do, although we do have somewhat of a structure at this point. Now. Yeah, thank you so much for all of you new guys. And as a way of saying thank you, alongside Bargain Basement disappearing, we will have some new content coming to the channel, which should help a lot of you guys stay tuned.
That enjoy VR.
Yeah.
Just to say it's VR based, we don't want to give away too much yet, but we're recording the first episode today.
Should be fun.
Hopefully it'll be up next week, assuming no problems, but we're excited.
Cool.
I'm excited. So, but yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for supporting us. Again, I'm Keegan, one half Level 2 Gamers. That's Tom, another half Level 2 Gamers. Thank you guys for watching. And as always, welcome to the second level. Bye, guys.
It ain't no game, but they saying welcome to the second level.